So first of all, thank you all so much for taking the time to attend today. We're really excited about this webinar with Mary. So Mary Bailey is the managing director of the Last Prisoner Project, which is a nonprofit focused on releasing and restoring justice to incarcerated individuals due to cannabis, which is definitely something that needs a lot of work and a lot of change. I'm Lisa. I'm the founder and CEO of Cannabis Marketing Association, and we have been working with Last Prisoner Project to find out more about how we can mobilize our community of marketing and communications professionals to get more involved in advocacy and social justice efforts. I know many of you on this call are excellent storytellers, so Mary is helping us today better understand how this community can get involved with Last Prisoner Project's efforts, and even more broadly, what we can do on behalf of the industry to move the needle on these issues. So like I said earlier, we are recording this, and this recording will be available to everybody via social media and the CMA website. So if you missed anything, don't worry about it. We will have options for you. If you have any tech issues, feel free to message myself or Emily via the Zoom chat. Just reach out to all panelists. But I'm going to let Mary take it away from here. We will do 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, you can put them into the Q&A box, specifically not the Zoom chat, but the Q&A box. But please just hold till the end as far as expecting an answer. We will have dedicated time for that, but go ahead and put your questions into the Q&A. And I will be back around 12:45. So Mary, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm going to do a presentation. So I'm going to do, if you can share my screen. Okay, perfect. Wonderful. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thank you again to the Cannabis Marketing Association for hosting me here. I'm really excited to share information about Last Prisoner Project, tell you a little bit about the programs that we've created, the work that we do, how we work to assist those who have been negatively impacted by the criminalization of cannabis, and then, share information about how you guys can get involved, because we do need a lot of help. This is a big job, and so we can't do it alone. We do everything through partnerships with other organizations, through partnerships within the cannabis industry and beyond. So there's so many ways that you all can be a part of this really important work as well. So who are we? Who is the Last Prisoner Project? So we're a coalition of cannabis industry leaders, executives, and artists dedicated to bringing restorative justice to the cannabis industry. Two of our founders are Andrew and Steve D'Angelo. Our third founder is Dean Reyes. Andrew and Steve are the founders of Harborside Dispensary, as well as Steep Hell Lab and ArcView. And, as they were working in the industry and seeing that there was not enough representation from people who helped build the industry, and that even though this is a booming industry, it's in an international industry, but here in America, we are, kind of the leaders, especially the West Coast, who really got things going in the beginning. There's still 40,000 people incarcerated, and that's an issue. So we all work together to found Last Prisoner Project in order to really, help those who have been negatively impacted, not only releasing them, but also helping them to rebuild their lives. We feel really importantly that anybody who is incarcerated for cannabis, that they are the pioneers of this industry and experts in their field, and that they belong here in the legal industry, and that we need to help them in any way that we can. We feel that anybody who benefits from the legalization of cannabis, that anybody, whether it's you're in the industry, you work in the industry, or if you're just a medical patient or use it recreationally, that we should all feel a moral imperative to help support those who have been negatively impacted by the criminalization of cannabis. So the main problem is that even though, again, this is a booming industry, there's still tons of people incarcerated for cannabis. And we say that there's over 40,000. I will say that it's actually really hard to know exactly how many. Our justice system is archaic, and it's really difficult to find out who is incarcerated in each state specifically for cannabis. So we're working on those efforts. For example, in the state of Colorado, we've had to go through the Governor Polis's, the governor's office, and then through the Department of Corrections in order to learn how many people are incarcerated just in that one state. So we're working on those efforts in other states as well, and really doing a deep dive to find out how many people we can assist. It's very obvious that communities of color are disproportionately affected, specifically for marijuana enforcement, and that people of color are actually 4 times as likely to be arrested for cannabis, even though all races, no matter what, we're all using cannabis at the same level statistically. So what do we do? So our first main focus is, of course, releasing cannabis prisoners. So in order to do that, we've created our clemency initiative. We come at the problem both at a federal and a state level. We have partnered with National Association for Criminal Defense Lawyers. I like to call them my army of attorneys, and they have pro bono attorneys in every state. So we've been working with them on our state level Cannabis Clemency Initiative. We are piloting that program in Colorado with Governor Polis's office. We've already initiated discussions with Governor Newsom's office in California, Governor Pritzker's office in Illinois, Governor Kate Brown's office in Oregon, and we're hoping to continue that work and launch that program into 6 different states this year. So we also have a compassionate release program where we match inmates with pro bono attorneys to help them file their compassionate release petitions. And then we also do client advocacy through our release campaigns, which I'll discuss a little bit later. So we realize that we can't just work on getting people out of prison, that we also need to help them rebuild their lives, because in America, we have such high recidivism rates. There's literally a 70% chance that you will go back to prison after being released, mainly because it's so difficult obtaining quality employment with felonies on your record. So in order to help hopefully alleviate that statistic, we have created a reentry program. It's building pathways to employment in the legal cannabis industry. We work with our corporate partners who are interested in hiring people, justice impacted individuals. We feel really importantly, again, that people who are incarcerated for cannabis, they are the pioneers of our industry. And as they're released, they deserve a place within the industry. So we've also partnered with the cannabis staffing company Vinx. They've been incredibly helpful along the way to provide mentorship for our constituents. They help with resume, helping create and update resumes, interviewing skills, employability skills in general. I've been working really hard to create educational scholarships for our participants as well. So we've created partnerships with Oaksterdam, Academy of Cannabis Science, and we're working with Green Flower Media. And these are all ways for our constituents to really be prepared to enter the legal cannabis industry and get the training that they need in order to really, have a successful entrance into the legal industry. So again, about our scholarship program, really excited to offer complimentary classes and certificates for our participants. In addition to our scholarship program for adults, we also work to provide support for the family members of our incarcerated constituents. And so we've created it's more of a mini grant program. And so funding goes towards the children of people who are currently incarcerated for cannabis. And this photo is of Clear Cooper. She's amazing. She's the daughter of Corvain Cooper. Corvain is serving a life sentence for cannabis. He also sits on our advisory board. Clear is on the honor roll, as you can see in the photo. She's 15, she gets straight A's, and her goal is to go to an Ivy League college. So we've, helped her family with a mini grant, helped her get a computer, and, we try to help as many family members as we can. So another aspect of what we do is, we try to educate the public that this is still an issue. Most Americans, if you haven't had anybody, you yourself haven't been to prison for cannabis, or you haven't had a family member go to prison, there's a good chance you actually don't know that this is still such an issue in America. And so part of the work that we do is to educate the public that there are still over 40,000 people in prison, and this is still an issue that we really need to focus on. So we are really grateful. We work with a lot of different celebrity ambassadors and advisors who help us get the word out to the public. So Jim Belushi has been incredibly supportive along the way. We did our very first fundraiser last year at Jim's home, and he's incredible. We also work with Eric Rachmani, the lead singer of Revolution. Eric has been on board since day one. Actually, at our fundraiser at Jim Belushi's house, Eric Rachmani did an acoustic set of music. It was incredible. Eric actually did a full winter tour last year, and all of the proceeds from that winter tour, that solo winter tour, were dedicated to Last Prisoner Project. So other celebrities include, that we work with include Willie Nelson, Damian Marley, Chelsea Handler's been supportive, Cheech, let's see, Al Harrington, Be Real, Redman. I mean, the list goes on and on. We've been really incredibly grateful to all the support from the entertainment industry to help do this work. And, it makes sense for them to get on board. These are all, celebrities who, whether they're recreational users or medical users, or they've been, singing about cannabis for all of these years. And now that, again, it's a booming industry, it just makes sense that we need to go back and really assist those people who are left behind as cannabis became more legal. So in our awareness campaigns, we work with our celebrity ambassadors and our brand partners to create campaigns to really educate the public. And some of these campaigns, we highlight especially egregious cases, and I'll go into some of those next. Another way that we work with cannabis companies who support our work, a lot of the multi-state operators, most of the large cannabis companies, they have a government relations team. So we work one-on-one with those government relations team members in order to really help move our efforts forward. So a lot of the companies that we work with, I'll work with their lobbyists in different states when we have a specific case, and they help us communicate with politicians who really hold that power, and as a way to educate those lobbyists, educate the politicians, educate anybody who will listen to us, to make sure that they are aware that these prisoners exist, help share their stories, and make sure that they haven't been forgotten, and that we, put in an effort for their release. Also, stay tuned. We have an upcoming campaign with GTI. It just launched today. So you'll be seeing, they created an amazing short 13-minute little mini documentary, and it follows Evelyn LaChapelle. Evelyn is, she sits on our advisory board. She is also in our reentry program. And so Evelyn served 5 years in prison for cannabis, and she, she's been monumental. She is now working in the legal cannabis industry. She works for Vertosa. She's their community engagement coordinator. And, keep an eye out for her as well, because she does their podcasts on Thursdays. But I'll go into a little bit more about our awareness campaigns next. So a current campaign that we're working on is for a prisoner named Michael Thompson. And if you follow us on social media, you've probably seen a lot about Michael Thompson over the last couple months. Michael Thompson is an incredible man. He's become a dear friend of mine during the time that we've worked together. He's, warm-hearted. He's also hilarious. He feels like an uncle to me, I'll be honest. He is Michigan's longest-serving nonviolent prisoner, and it is for cannabis. He ended up selling 3 pounds of cannabis to a police informant. And so he received a sentence of 40 to 60 years altogether on that charge. He's been in prison for 25 years. And, we are working hard on his release effort. So we've been working with a lot of different companies that are based in Michigan to really propel that forward. Our biggest fear was that he would get COVID in prison, and that happened. So he's been in the hospital for about a month. I'm happy to say that he is feeling better now. He made it through. He's now into the non-COVID ward of the hospital. I actually was on the phone with them this morning earlier, and we're really, now that he's going to be sent back to prison, we are really trying to get him into the safest unit that we can. So if you go on to our Last Prisoner Project website and go to our release efforts, you will see a landing page for Michael Thompson. It's lastprisonerproject.org, and you can find more information about how to get involved with Michael. We've been really highly urging people to call the Michigan Parole Board. We have his information here on the screen. It's really helpful for everyone to reach out to the parole board and make sure that they are aware that the public is calling for his release. We've had over 140,000 people help by emailing Governor Whitmer and calling the parole board in support of Michael's release, and it is working. We've now are working with the Michigan Attorney General, Dana Nessel. She's put out a public statement of her support for Michael's release. We've also received, so many different really reputable celebrities have put out social media posts in support of his release. So Chelsea Handler, let's see, Snoop Dogg, Jim Belushi again. It's just, we've been overwhelmed with the support, and we need to keep pushing because he is still incarcerated. He already has gotten COVID once. Our biggest fear now is that he would catch it again. So, as much as we can, he's had his first interview with the Michigan Parole Board about his release. And so those efforts have begun, and we need to just continue that work. Next case I'll talk about is Richard DeLisi. Richard DeLisi is 71 years old. He has been in prison for 32 years. He is the longest serving nonviolent prisoner for cannabis in the entire United States. He is also a really incredible guy. He's a very loving, very caring man. He is currently, we've already put in a request for his clemency. We're really hoping that Governor DeSantis will approve that, and doing everything we can to advocate for him along the way. His legal team's been working really hard on his efforts, and we've been working with different media sources to try to get as much public attention on his case as possible. He was sentenced to 90 years for his work smuggling cannabis in the 70s and 80s. And, his case, they really threw the book at him by giving him 90 years. A similar situation, somebody would get 10 or 12 years. So we're doing everything again in as our efforts to advocate for him along the way. Another case I'll share with you is Fate Winslow, and we are not currently doing an awareness campaign for him. I feel that it's really important for people to be aware of Fate. We're working with the New Orleans Innocence Project, who is working on trying to get resentencing for Fate. Fate has been in prison for 12 years in Louisiana, and his situation is the most egregious that I've ever come across. He was a homeless man who lived in a park in Louisiana, and he was stopped by an undercover cop who asked him to get him some weed. Fate ended up selling this undercover cop 2 dime bags, and he ended up getting a life sentence for that $5 sale that he made. He only made $5 off that sale, and he's in prison for life. So this is a newer case that we started working on, and we will be continuing to update you all on how that goes. The latest update that I got from the Innocence Project was that, they're speaking with the Louisiana DA in that area in order to hopefully re-sentence him where he can get out much sooner. So all of what we do, of course, for any nonprofit funding is the lifeblood, and that's how we're able to do all of this important work that we're doing. So there's different ways for our brands, cannabis retailers to get involved, which I'll go into a little bit more about that along the way. Working with Last Prisoner Project is great because you have the opportunity to create personalized brand awareness campaigns which signal to consumers that your company gives back, you're socially responsible, that you're dedicated to restorative justice. This should not only feel good that you're doing the right thing, but it should also be good for business too, because people want to know that the company that they're, purchasing their products, that they're doing the right thing. So people do vote with their dollar. So it really should be a win-win for everybody to work with an organization such as Last Prisoner Project. You also make a lasting difference in the lives who have suffered the devastating effects of criminalization of cannabis. So again, it should be a no-brainer. Anybody who's in the industry who's benefiting off of this plant medicine should also feel a moral imperative to help support those who have, helped build this industry. And so there are many ways for you to get involved with us. Our first program for brand partners is called Partners for Freedom. It's a nationwide group of our most committed and generous partners in our mission to free cannabis prisoners and promote restorative justice in the cannabis industry. There are increasing levels of membership and different benefits and different incentives for different levels of donations along the way. So anybody that's interested in learning more, contact me. One of the really most popular levels of the Partners for Freedom program is it's a commitment of $1,000 per month and for a minimum of 12 months. And that creates giving you the capability of adding our Last Prisoner Project logo to your brand packaging. Again, that signals to consumers that you give back. That's been a really popular program that we have. And there's a couple case studies I can talk to you about. We work with Evidence. Evidence is a brand offshoot of Ocean Grown Extracts. Ocean Grown Extracts, again, from the very beginning, from day one, we've had support from Ocean Grown Extracts. We're really grateful to them. And their new brand, Evidence, also goes, portion of proceeds help benefit each bag that is sold to the public. Last Prisoner Project receives $1 from that. Another brand I wanted to mention is Her Highness. Her Highness and Last Prisoner Project recently created a partnership, and you can't see, but on the back of this packaging, so they have 3 different pre-rolls. There's, a sativa, indica, and a hybrid. Each one on the back of the packaging features a member of our reentry program, 3 different incredible women, Evelyn LaChapelle, Stephanie Shepard, and Natalia Wade. And it shares a little bit about their story on the back. And 50% of proceeds go towards Last Prisoner Project. Half goes directly to those women that are featured, and then half goes towards our clemency initiative and our efforts to help release more individuals. So the second donation program that we've set up for partners within the cannabis industry is our Roll It Up for Justice program. This is an exciting program. I helped build this, and it's been growing every month. So what it is it's a program for retailers. This can be e-commerce or brick and mortar, and it allows customers the opportunity to donate at checkout. We started a couple months ago. We were in about 20 dispensaries. Today, we are in 120 dispensaries. So we've definitely been growing exponentially. This is a great way. Small change really does make a big impact. And, if you go to our website and go to the partners page, you can learn more about the Roll It Up for Justice program. You can also learn all of the different dispensaries are currently enrolled in this program. And that way you can vote with your dollar and go to those retailers. This is a great option for retailers because it doesn't take any investment. Last Prisoner Project, we do all the heavy lifting. We help integrate this program into the point of sale system. We create a non-taxable SKU item that works as a donation. Most retailers do a $1 or a $4.20 donation towards Last Prisoner Project. And it's been very successful so far. We also provide marketing materials. We help train your bud tenders. We've actually created a bud tender program that goes into educating the bud tenders. Bud tenders have a unique opportunity to educate the public about social justice in the cannabis space, and really educating the public that this is still an issue and that we all need to work towards releasing these individuals. So anybody, again, interested in learning more, contact us through our website or contact me directly. And my email address is mary@lastprisonerproject.org. So again, giving back, it's good for business. Here are some statistics from a recent Clemson University study. It really just, it's a win-win again for everybody to give back towards social justice in the cannabis space. I thought I'd give a couple more case studies about our Roll It Up for Justice program as well. So Ascend Wellness has come on board in a big way. Not only are they a partner for freedom, but they've also put through this, they've integrated our Roll It Up for Justice program into all of their dispensaries. So the Michigan Supply and Provisions, all of their dispensaries in Michigan and Illinois. And not only have they launched this program into all of their dispensaries, but they've also agreed to match donations. So they're actually matching up to $125,000 of donations in the next year that come in through that Roll It Up program, which is incredible. And it's, you know, we share this with information with retailers. We're happy when retailers just launch this program into their dispensaries, but some retailers also do a matching situation as well. So again, if you're interested in partnering with Last Prisoner Project and learning more, please contact me for more information. Here's some of the companies that we work with. You can also learn more about what other companies have come on board to support our efforts on our website on the partnership page, and also on the homepage at the very bottom, we have everybody's logo as well. So again, we're just really incredibly grateful for all of the people in the cannabis industry who have really showed up. Almost all of the funding from day one is all coming from the cannabis industry to help us do this work. And, you know, we just, I create customized agreements with everybody. We have set programs that we've built, and we're always interested in hearing your ideas, outside of the box ideas as well. So for people in the industry that want to get involved beyond partnerships, there's so many different ways that you can really support our efforts. The first one, and the easiest, is to follow us on social media. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. It's under Last Prisoner Project. One of the biggest ways that people don't even realize how supportive it is by following us and sharing our posts. That way you can educate your network and really just make sure that everybody is aware that, first of all, that this is an issue and ways to plug in. So you can help us share information about those awareness campaigns that I mentioned, and really just learn more personal stories about those who have been negatively impacted. And, you know, one of the ways I communicate with a lot of our prisoners, and, you know, whether that's through email, phone calls, and I feel that it's really important that we share their stories with the public. We, you know, they cannot be forgotten. They exist, and it's really important that we give them a voice. Another way that you can get involved is go to our website, lastprisonerproject.org. You can learn more. That's a place that you can donate yourself and volunteer. We've got a prison letter writing guide on our website. Communicating with prisoners is one of the best ways that you can really help support them, lift their morale, make sure that they know, again, that they have not been forgotten, that they're cared about. Now that all the prisons are on lockdown, you know, writing letters is more important now than it ever has been before. Other ways to get involved, of course, I've already gone into partnership opportunities. There's definitely tons of ways that you can volunteer with your skills. We always need help creating content for social media, whether that's graphics, videos, all of the above. We're definitely open to hearing your ideas on how you might be able to give back. Another way is if you have publications, helping us with comped ad space is always really helpful. The Oregon Leaf has been really supportive. Emerald Magazine, High Times are just a few of Weed Maps, Leafly. They've all been really supportive in helping us with ad space in order to really, again, educate the public about these particular cases and as well as just about our efforts in general. So feel free, if you have some ideas, email me. I want to hear your ideas and we can work together to create real change. This is a quote from Steve D'Angelo that we really, it resonates with us. We will not rest and we will not stop until the last cannabis prisoner has been set free. And, you know, as we continue to do this work, we really look forward to working with all of you to really just keep those efforts alive. I'm going to go on to answer some questions from all of you. And let's see. From Russell, do you know how many and who are incarcerated in Utah for cannabis? I do not have information specifically about Utah, but I did speak with somebody yesterday from Missouri, and so we're starting to do some efforts in Missouri, but normally how people get involved with Last Prisoner Project is their family members get in touch with us. And we do have an intake form on our website. So if anybody knows of people who are incarcerated for cannabis, you can reach out, go onto our website, fill out the intake form, and that way we can gather more information about those prisoners, and then we match them with pro bono attorneys in order to help file their compassionate release petition. If anybody else has any questions, feel free to let me know in the Q&A. And again, you know, I shared my email address, mary@lastprisonerproject.org. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you might have or ideas for ways that you want to get involved. You know, I'm here to support in any way. So I really am grateful for you all for participating in the webinar today. It's really nice to know that we have so much support from the industry, and you know, as that continues to grow, we really want to work with every single company that wants to work with us. So we will make it work. Let's see, Melissa Harvey, thank you for talking about setting up a scholarship program. Definitely, yeah, you can absolutely contact me to create a scholarship program. I would love to work with you on that. Again, my email address is mary@lastprisonerproject.org. So it looks like we've gone through all the questions so far. So if, you know, if there's nothing else, I'll let Emily take over, or Lisa, excuse me.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. One thing that kind of came up for me that perhaps you could talk about if you want is how I know some of, you know, some of these folks are also starting brands and that their brands need some help. Could you talk a little bit about, you know, do you help facilitate connections there, or, you know, anything kind of more on the business building side and kind of, you know, what they do once they're out as well?
Absolutely. I thank you so much for bringing that up. We do have a couple of our constituents who are starting brands, and they need all the help they can get, you know, along the way. So whether that's graphic design, social media managers, even just mentors in general, if any of you are interested in plugging in any way, for example, you have a white label company and so you can get better rates. There's so many different ways to assist our constituents, you know, with legal assistance and legal counsel. all of these, all of the above, really. But yes, we've got at least three constituents right now who are starting their own cannabis brands. One is an accessory brand, one is a full-on flower product line, and another is an edible brand. So absolutely, there's tons of ways to plug in, and we're open to hearing all of your ideas as well. Thank you.
Cool. Okay. And then there was a few more questions. I don't know if you saw these, but do you guys have merch for sale or any way to get proceeds through merch?
Absolutely. Go to our website, lastprisonerproject.org. We've got a web store. We've got some really incredible hoodies. We have a couple new tank tops. We've got hats. We actually have a new hat that's coming out really soon, a hemp hat. It's not there yet, but so stay tuned for that.
Nice. Okay. And then Randy, could you clarify your question? Is there an office? Is that what you were saying, where an ex-con cannot work in the industry, or offense? If you could just clarify that, that would be awesome. And then David's also saying in the chat, is there freedom questions you receive on the streets and laws? I'm not sure what that means. Does that make sense to you, Mary?
I don't really understand the question. I'm sorry.
David, could you clarify that, please?
One, specifically about laws, if you go to Cannabis Voter Project, highly suggest visiting out they're visiting their website. They have updates about all of the current bills that are out, and as it's voting season, it's really important to get out there and vote. And so Cannabis Voter Project has some really incredible information on um, what these different politicians, their views on cannabis, so you can vote accordingly.
Awesome. And then Randy was saying, is there a particular crime where an ex-con cannot work in the industry?
Not that I'm aware of. If you have a previous charge for cannabis, you can reach out to us to participate in our reentry program. And then those participants can work together to communicate. But that's one of the ways that you can plug in. And again, I think somebody asked if we have an office. We actually do not have an office. We all work remotely. Again, I live here in Hawaii. I live on the North Shore of Maui. Our executive director lives in Connecticut. We've got team members that live in LA, in New York, Oakland. We're all over the place. And so we cross a lot of different time zones.
And Mary, do you know, is there any place that does have a demographic breakdown by state of those incarcerated? I know you said it's hard to gauge that number, and I totally understand that, but there's no place to find that.
There is not. And so we've literally had to go and start communicating with Department of Corrections, government, governor's offices in different states, because that information is not available.
That makes sense. And a few other questions. So Anthony's also asking, is there a place to find the list of the cannabis lifers? I know it's about 40 of them.
Yes, definitely. You can go to a website called Life for Pot. I'm pretty sure it's lifeforpot.com. It's an amazing woman named Beth Curtis. Beth Curtis, her brother is a man who is serving a life sentence for cannabis. And so Beth has been advocating for those who have been serving life sentences for pot. And her work is absolutely incredible. We're so grateful for all the work that she's put in all these years. Another couple people that I should mention who have been doing this work for a very long time. Another one is Stephanie Landa. She's from an organization called Freedom Grow. Stephanie's amazing. We actually work with Stephanie as well by helping to provide resources to put funding onto the commissary accounts of prisoners. So it's actually incredibly expensive to be in prison. You think that, you don't have to pay rent or but no, it's very pricey. You only get the basic food. So if you need funding onto your commissary account in order to get more food, as well as talk to your family, phone calls, video calls, they all cost money. One of our constituents, Evelyn LaChapelle, I mentioned her earlier, she told us that her family was paying $500 per month for the 5 years that she was incarcerated, specifically for her commissary account. So again, Stephanie Landa has been amazing on that. And yes, absolutely. Amy was the next person. Amy Pova is incredible. She's from Can Do Clemency. She's been working for clemency for those who are serving in prison for drug charges. And Amy and Stephanie have both been working together on these efforts for many years. We've actually also worked with Amy on that amicus brief for Luke. So incredibly grateful for all of the work for those who have been working on these efforts for all these years. We all need to work together because this is a huge issue that it's going to take all of us working together to create any kind of change within the industry.
And we have a few questions related to how to help at the state level. Nick's saying he wants to help in New Jersey. Brian is asking about how he can get involved in Mississippi. We have a vote in November for medical. Any ideas would be great. Do you have any sort of standard advice as far to how to get involved at the state level? Is it best to just call your local state representatives and ask them about these issues and understand their stance and what they're doing? Any kind of thoughts on what we can do, here where we are locally?
Yeah, I would highly suggest absolutely contacting your state representatives and asking their take on cannabis, where they stand, how to support. Also, Cannabis Voter Project, they go state by state. You can also go to Marijuana Policy Project. They also go into the different states, what's happening in each state and how to get involved. So, we are streamlined focused on specifically cannabis for non-violent cannabis offenders and helping them rebuild their lives. That's our one, but there's so many other organizations doing so many different wonderful things for the industry and trying to really make this industry a more socially conscious industry. So definitely other ways to plug in.
Awesome. Okay, if participants, if you guys have any more questions, please throw them in the chat. We do have a little bit more time. So Mary, just to sort of sum up what I learned from you today is that, Last Prisoner Project is really willing to work with anybody at any level. And the best way to do that is to, have these brands and individuals and companies reach out to you and, maybe pitch some ideas or see how they can help with their own businesses and then with their own community on a more specific level. But you also have these various programs that they can, sign up for or choose to get involved in.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. So any last things? I don't see any more questions rolling in. You guys have a few more minutes. Feel free to drop them in. But any last things you want to say, Mary, or anything you'd like to communicate to this group while we have them?
No, I just really appreciate everyone to tune in and learn more. I see Chandra also mentioned Sherry Sicard. Sherry, again, she's been working, advocating for these prisoners for many years, not only communicating with them, helping them file clemency petitions. There's so many people who have been just really pounding the pavement, sticking up for these cannabis prisoners all of these years. And we wouldn't, as an organization, Last Prisoner Project, we wouldn't be able to do the work we do if it weren't for all of the other people working towards this for all these years as well. So again, we can't thank everybody enough for working on this for so long. But again, it's really great to have the support of the cannabis industry to continue our efforts, and really just welcome anyone to contact me if you want to plug in.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary. We have just a few last questions that just came in. So Anthony asked, do you guys know when there will be a physical location event type of thing happening? A cannabis event, is it slated or on the books?
Definitely not. We're dealing with global crisis right now, and events are highly frowned upon. And so no, we don't have any physical events planned.
And then Brian also asked, what are people's experiences with Congress and how the moves have changed regarding marijuana and C-SPAN, et cetera? David, are you asking, just to clarify, about how the work that can be done at the federal level regarding these issues? Do you have any thoughts on that, Mary, as far as
federal efforts?
Yeah.
Definitely. So we're definitely working with, we're working on the White House Pardon Working Group, and those federal efforts, as things have been kind of moving forward, I feel like, to be honest, I feel like the Black Lives Matter movement has really put this in the forefront of everyone's mind, and that also transfers politically as well. So I feel that these conversations will continue to move forward, and hopefully, as you know, things move forward, hopefully at a federal level, we will get more movement on this.
Definitely. And then, could you, Mary, do you mind restating the clemency? Someone says, what was the clemency project's named that was working on drug charges that Mary mentioned? And we can also, Brian, we can send out a list to everybody as a follow-up as well. But Mary, do you mind restating those, the clemency projects?
It's our Cannabis Clemency Initiative.
I believe so.
Our Cannabis Clemency Initiative is kind of a state effort. So we're working in, basically we're working with governor's offices to create a new category of clemency specifically for nonviolent cannabis offenders. So far, we're going to be piloting that project in Colorado with Governor Polis's office, and we've initiated discussions with a handful of other states.
Awesome. Yes, Kim, we will definitely send out a list. And Mary, you know, we're here in Denver. I know there's a bunch of us on this call in Colorado, where it's not too difficult to get to the state capitol here as well. So please let us know if there's anything else we can do.
I thought of one other thing that's really important for any cannabis companies to keep in mind. It is so important to remember that it's important to hire people who have been incarcerated, even if they have a past. They deserve a place in the industry. So you can contact us to learn more, but absolutely hire justice impacted individuals. They deserve jobs within the industry. And so it's really important to, as much as possible, lower those barriers to entry.
Awesome. Okay, well, I think that's it, unless anyone has last questions, or Mary, you have anything else you would like to add?
I think that's it. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. And again, if other questions arise, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. So we will send, we'll edit this recording and we'll get it up on our website. So we'll send everybody a link, as well as Mary's deck and her contact information. So you can all contact her directly, as well as a list of those programs and resources so that it's very clear how to get involved. And if you have any other questions for myself or Mary, please don't hesitate to reach out. We will have this sent out by the end of the week at the latest. But thank you all so much for attending today. Please share this webinar with anyone who you think might be interested. We're live streaming on CMA's Facebook page now, but we'll have some more information for you shortly.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Mary. We'll leave the chat up just for a minute. Mary and I will pop off, but we'll leave the Zoom chat up so that you can grab those names and links as well. And then we will see you guys soon. Thank you all so much. And Mary, thank you for your time. I hope you enjoy the rest of your morning in Hawaii, and I appreciate you waking up early to do this.
No problem. Okay, bye everybody. Thanks again.